The sun had barely risen when Marcus received the shocking notice. His electric bill had suddenly jumped by $5,000, an impossible increase imposed by the HOA. His heart pounded with disbelief as he scanned the figures, knowing full well he had been responsible and consistent with his payments. Someone was trying to scare him, to assert dominance. But Marcus wasn't easily intimidated. Karen, the HOA president, had sent a stern letter, warning of serious consequences if he didn't pay immediately. Her team of enforcers loitered near the neighborhood, confident that fear could force compliance. But Marcus had lived his life on logic, planning, and precision, and he saw through their threats immediately. He walked through the quiet streets, taking note of the HOA's overreach and the glaring injustice. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, sensing tension, unsure whether to intervene or watch. Marcus's calm resolve began to take shape. This wasn't a simple dispute over money. It was a test of authority, patience, and clever strategy. By the end of the morning, he had made a decision. The HOA had crossed the line, and their arrogance would have consequences they hadn't anticipated. The stage was set for a quiet but unmistakable reckoning. Marcus stood in his garage, surveying the electric panel and planning meticulously. The $5,000 fine was absurd, a blatant attempt at intimidation by the HOA. But he didn't panic. He had anticipated such overreach long before it happened. Calmly, he reviewed the HOA rules, his property rights, and the legal limits of their authority. Every detail was documented, every loophole mapped. Meanwhile, Karen and her assistants convened, confident that fear would secure their compliance. "He'll pay," Karen muttered, her voice tight. "Everyone else has." But as they waited for a response, tension mounted. The calm, unshaken demeanor of Marcus unnerved them. They had expected panic, tears, or at least anxiety, but he remained composed, almost serene. Neighbors began noticing the unusual standoff, whispers traveling from yard to yard. Marcus's strategy wasn't just defensive. It was an unspoken challenge. By doing nothing immediately, he forced the HOA to confront their own arrogance. Every glance he gave, every calm breath, communicated quiet dominance. By mid-afternoon, the HOA team's confidence was cracking. Their threats were meaningless, and Marcus's preparation had made it clear. The power dynamic had shifted. This wasn't a confrontation of anger. It was a calculated game, and Marcus was already several moves ahead. As the sun reached its peak, Marcus moved silently through the cabin, his hands steady as he prepared the ultimate response. The HOA had tried to assert control with their outrageous $5,000 electric bill, but he had anticipated every tactic. Today, he would demonstrate a lesson they would never forget. Karen and her assistants were pacing nervously outside, expecting a frantic reaction or an immediate payment. Their faces betrayed growing panic as they noticed Marcus calmly flipping the circuit switches, cutting power to the neighborhood areas controlled by the HOA's lines. Lights flickered, alarms buzzed, and a hush fell across the community. Gasps and exclamations erupted as homeowners and HOA staff realized they were powerless. Marcus remained composed, a quiet smile playing on his lips. "This isn't about revenge," he said softly, almost to himself. "It's about accountability. Every action has consequences." Karen's face drained of color. How is he doing this?" she whispered, her voice tight with disbelief. The assistants fumbled, trying to regain control, but Marcus's calm precision had left them scrambling. Every minute that passed heightened the tension, showcasing his intelligence and strategic mastery over their baseless threats. Neighbors watched in awe, some hiding behind fences, others cautiously stepping outside to witness the scene. Marcus's decisive move had shifted the balance entirely. The HOA's arrogance was exposed, and their panic only amplified the drama, making it a lesson in calm, calculated authority. The neighborhood buzzed with tension as the HOA scrambled to restore power. Karen's face was flushed with anger and panic, her assistants muttering frantic instructions that accomplished little. Every attempt to regain control was met with Marcus's quiet, unyielding presence. A calm storm they could neither provoke nor outmaneuver. Marcus moved slowly through his cabin, reviewing the systems he had adjusted. Every wire, every switch had been manipulated with precision, not malice. His dominance wasn't loud or violent. It was subtle, methodical, and undeniable. Every flicker of light and every failed attempt by the HOA reinforced the lesson. They had underestimated him. Karen stomped her foot, trying to maintain authority. "This is unacceptable. You'll pay for this," she shouted, her voice cracking. But Marcus's calm, measured gaze met hers without a hint of fear or anger. His strategy was working flawlessly. He didn't need to shout, argue, or threaten. The evidence of his careful planning spoke volumes. Assistants whispered nervously among themselves, realizing the depth of Marcus's preparation. Neighbors peered from windows and driveways, sensing the unfolding drama. The HOA's desperation only amplified the tension, highlighting Marcus's strategic brilliance and quiet, commanding presence. By late afternoon, it was clear. The HOA's arrogance had been exposed. Marcus had turned their aggression into a lesson in patience, intelligence, and subtle dominance. One they would not forget anytime soon. By late afternoon, chaos had overtaken the HOA. Karen's face was pale, her voice trembling as she barked orders that went unheeded. The assistants scrambled desperately, pressing buttons and flipping switches, but Marcus's careful planning ensured that every move they made was futile. The neighborhood lights remained off, and the sense of helplessness was palpable. Marcus stood outside his cabin, calm and composed, observing the frantic HOA team. His posture radiated quiet authority. He didn't need to shout or act aggressively. Every step he took, every measured glance, reminded them of the miscalculation they had made. Their power relied on intimidation and fear, but he had turned that strategy against them with subtle brilliance. Neighbors peeked from behind fences, some whispering to one another, others cautiously stepping out to see the unfolding scene. Marcus's calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the HOA's desperation. Panic rippled through the group, amplified by the visible evidence of Marcus's control over the situation. Karen tried to assert dominance, but every attempt crumbled under Marcus's composed authority. It became painfully clear the HOA had underestimated him. Their arrogance had led them to a public display of their own helplessness, while Marcus's strategic patience had ensured that he remained in full command of the situation. By sunset, the lesson was clear. Authority comes not from intimidation, but from intelligence, planning, and calm execution. Marcus had turned the tables completely, leaving the HOA scrambling and the neighbors in awe of his quiet, calculated dominance. As the sun dipped lower, Karen and her assistants realized they had exhausted all options. Panic had turned into desperation. Their threats, their intimidation, their entire strategy had collapsed under Marcus's calm and calculated control. Every flicker of light, every failed attempt to regain power reminded them that they had misjudged him completely. Karen's face twisted with frustration. "We can't let him get away with this," she exclaimed, her voice wavering. The assistants nodded nervously, unsure how to counter Marcus's dominance. Every move they made seemed futile, as if the universe itself sided with his meticulous planning. Marcus watched from the porch of his cabin, serene and composed. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't act aggressively. His victory was not in chaos, but in the quiet, undeniable authority he had established. Every action by the HOA only confirmed his control and highlighted their incompetence. Neighbors peered curiously from behind fences, drawn to the tension and the drama unfolding. The community felt the weight of the HOA's desperation, a stark contrast to Marcus's calm demeanor. The stage was perfectly set for the final resolution. The HOA had overplayed their hand, and the final twist was inevitable. By evening, it was clear. The power dynamics had shifted entirely. Marcus's patience, intelligence, and subtle dominance ensured that the HOA would face the consequences of their arrogance, and the neighborhood would witness justice quietly but unmistakably delivered. Night began to fall, casting a golden glow over Marcus's property. Karen and her assistants stood defeated, their faces a mixture of shock, frustration, and disbelief. The $5,000 electric bill they had imposed to intimidate Marcus had backfired spectacularly. They realized, too late, that calm intelligence always outweighs rash threats. Marcus walked along his cabin porch, surveying the scene. Every decision had been precise, every move calculated. He hadn't acted out of anger or revenge, but to assert fairness and accountability. The HOA's arrogance had given them a lesson in humility. Neighbors peeked from behind fences and windows, witnessing the quiet triumph. Marcus's composed authority had turned their desperate attempts into a spectacle of failure, reinforcing the lesson that knowledge, patience, and strategy were far stronger than intimidation. Karen finally admitted defeat, her face pale. We underestimated him," she murmured. Marcus simply nodded, his calm smile emphasizing the point without a word. The neighborhood had witnessed a masterclass in subtle dominance, justice, and smart strategy. And that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you loved the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.